It's time to get real, reality TV aficionados. Welcome to the Giorgio Says podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Giorgio Takanakis, and I'm here serving you the juiciest updates on all your favorite reality shows weekly, as well as the hottest pop culture trends, and even exclusive interviews that will leave you wanting more. This podcast will keep you on the edge of your seat. We definitely need to talk about this. The Giorgio Says podcast starts now.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Giorgio Says the podcast. So clearly, it's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. Merce is in a purse, and Erika Jane was lit and was the star of last night's episode, in my opinion. I am clearly feeling myself. My tits are out, my hair is straight. It's Thursday. Actually, I just wanted to see how long my hair actually was because my hair had been growing for a while, but it was hard to tell how long it was because it was curly all the time. Anyways, I hope you all are having a fantastic Thursday so far. I am going to get into some quick tea for you guys before we recap Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but just a friendly reminder that I will be on the Besties by Bravo podcast today, recapping Vanderpump Rules season 11 premiere with Caitlin Marshall. So be sure to check that out later on today if you have a moment. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into some quick tea, and then let's get into this Beverly Hills recap because we're still in Spain, y'all. All right, let's get into some quick tea. All right, let's jump into some quick tea very quickly because I don't think I need to say all too much about this, but it does draw some questions for me. So if you missed it, there is a second Housewife and the Hustler documentary coming out on Hulu February 12th. And yes, it's regarding the Erika and Tom of it all. But this is where, if you remember, Erika had gone to meet with some of the victims and she spoke with them and they all had a conversation, and seemingly it was a positive experience. But the way it's being painted is that maybe it wasn't as positive. Now, there's been some other people like Zach Peter who were there, and Talk of Shame, I believe, was also there. They never mentioned that anything negative was happening, nor did they even probably know that this was going to be used for this part 2 of the documentary. But they didn't seem to have a takeaway that was negative. It seemed like the whole thing was, at minimum, it was neutral. I'm not saying everyone there was like applauding her by any means. But at this point, she's been released from having any responsibility legally for a lot of the stuff that she was being accused of. My personal opinion here is that whether or not she knew 100% or 20%, she clearly didn't have control of the ship. He clearly was the one directing things. And you know what? Maybe she was in denial, but that doesn't make her a criminal in my mind. I know I've had strong opinions about some of her behavior when all of this was unfolding, but I think as time has gone on, I have empathized with her positioning because I don't know what that would be like. I don't want to know what that would be like. And you know what? It's hard when there is a narrative being painted loudly about you that may not really be true. So I hope this documentary is not going to pin her in some negative way or try to make her look bad, because that would be unfortunate. I think if anything, they should be utilizing this part 2 to update us on what's going on with Tom. Because here's the thing, guys, Tom's the one that's been doing all this stuff. So why aren't we digging into that? Are we going to dig into his medical issue where he was trying to play it off like he wasn't fit to stand trial, which now they've sorted that out? He is able to sit and discuss and answer questions regarding, a lot of these allegations. But nonetheless, he was a small part in what seems to be like, you would think that from the outside looking in, that this was Erika that did all of this and Tom was the innocent bystander, which it's a little misogynistic, a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot, because she did get crucified for all of his wrongdoing. And, I have gone through a journey with all of this, reporting on it, talking about it. And at BravoCon, I was open with Erika about, how harsh I was on her. And, I did see a difference and I saw things differently after, the dust started to settle. So I'm a little weary. I'm not sure how much more we're going to learn from this part two because I feel like everything's already out there. So there's not really that much more to uncover outside of this conversation that they're pushing that we all knew about because, everyone reported on the fact that she went and met with the victims. I don't know. Let me know if you guys will be watching. It does air on Hulu on February 12th. I will watch just because I'm interested to see what direction they're going to take this in and what else they could possibly tell us that we didn't know before. But yeah, so very interesting. Not the, not the best tea, but it was just something that stood out to me because when I was looking at it, I was reading the comments and it just feels like it's building it up to be something negative, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, guys. Anyways, we have to discuss the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, pains and Spains. We need to get into the Erika Jane of it all because she absolutely saved this episode, at least for me, because it I, I don't even know, you guys. It wasn't really that exciting. There wasn't really much that happened outside of Erika being hilarious and entertaining. And wow, does she know a lot about a lot of things. All right, let's jump right into this recap. Golly Nutrition is an inventive, people-focused nutrition company committed to providing innovative products that make taking your daily supplements simple and delicious. Their products are formulated with quality ingredients you can pronounce and flavors your taste buds will absolutely enjoy. And at the core of it all, they lead with purpose. Golly for Good is an initiative committed to playing a profound role in supporting the health of our planet as well as our local communities. Learn more about their initiatives, such as B Corp certification, Vitamin Angels partnership, and Eden reforestation projects at their Golly for Good page. And if you use my special code, The Giorgio Says, at checkout, you will receive a special discount. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, my friends, thank you so much for sticking by. Yes, we need to talk about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, I know a lot of people don't care for this season. They find it lackluster. I don't find it lackluster. Like, I'm still interested enough to watch all the way through. It's definitely way better than what Potomac's giving us because at least the ladies are not icing each other out. But, there wasn't really much going on. Like, I feel like if this was the best that we could get out of this episode, then yeah, thank God for Erika being lit at the paella dinner because, I mean, what would we have exactly? It would have been a like womp womp. So, yeah, so we start the episode off with Crystal. She's got really high blood pressure. We come to find out that this runs in her family. This is really scary. She's in a different country. The ambulance has to take her to the hospital. And look, I said this in my TikTok recap. The irony is not lost on me that this would happen right after Annemarie and Crystal have a spat, But at the same time, how ironic is it really? Because it's not like Annemarie did anything that was going to be any different than what the other women would have done if Annemarie wasn't there. Like, she rubbed her arm, she was consoling her, but everyone was consoling her. So I'm not sure where this whole like gotcha Crystal moment came from. I guess Annemarie's ego is just so rooted in denial, and she doesn't really understand that the issue was not that Crystal had a problem or was upset that she was in the medical field and Crystal didn't get to experience that. Because let's be clear, maybe Crystal made that decision at that time, but if she decided at some point that she wanted to do that, I wholeheartedly believe that she would have been able to do that. So I don't really think that has anything to do with it. I think what Crystal's point was is that you lie, you make things up. Case in point, we watched her lie on camera saying that Crystal's the one that insinuated Sutton had an eating disorder when she never said anything of the sort. Like Annemarie was the one that insinuated it. It's on camera. So right there, you're lying. So why? I don't understand how we're not seeing this. I know most of you see this. Most of everyone sees this, but it was just interesting the way they try to make it seem like that. Also, I thought it was interesting that, the producer decided to send someone from production with Crystal rather than have Annemarie go. Because probably for two reasons. If they know there's already a conflict between these two, they probably want to save that resolution or continuous fighting for after the hospital rather than them go and have like a really like bonding moment, because like I'm sure things would have changed, and they did change. It's not that Crystal wasn't appreciative of Annemarie being there, and I don't think that Crystal's ever diminished Annemarie's knowledge. I think her issue was her elitist attitude when speaking down to certain people, Sutton, about medical things or how things should be going when you're in a situation like Sutton, having these judgments. So I don't agree that that was just she was diminishing her role as a medical person in that field. And then now all of a sudden, because she was in this situation, now she's like, oh gosh, thank God for Annemarie. Because again, Annemarie didn't do anything outside of console her, which is nice, but like, calm down. Like, that's not. But, anyways, so the ladies then head to a church that Sutton wanted everyone to go to light a candle, set an intention, even say a prayer. Now, I love this because I think we're seeing a lot of church, funny enough, in these Housewives episodes, because Miami, they're in Mexico City. They also go to a church as well. So, anyways, so the ladies are in the church. Dorit asks Sutton, is it okay if I don't light a candle? Because, she's Jewish. They don't pray in churches. And she is right. You don't need to be in a church to be able to pray, set an intention, even light a candle for someone. Um, I personally believe that spirituality is a personal relationship. It doesn't have anything to do with being inside of a church or any type of building that deems itself in religion. I personally don't subscribe to religion. I'm on the spiritual side of things. So, as much as I respect a church, and I'll obviously go to a church if someone wants me there, but I'm not buying into the religion. But nonetheless, the ladies are in church, they're setting their intention, they are lighting the candle, they're thinking of Crystal. And Erika also is having a moment, and she's realizing that, she's very hurt that these ladies have not really come to apologize to her about these earrings when she's been kind of cleared from the whole situation. So I think she was expecting maybe some apologies to come from at least certain ladies, because they had strong opinions about the money, the earrings, the victims of it all, and that just hasn't happened. So she was in a place of hurt, and she really does care about these women, and she wants to feel like they see her. So from there, the ladies then head to lunch. And again, very easy breezy, nothing too crazy going on. But at the lunch, we get a moment where Garcelle brings up the whole issue, the microaggression that she felt Dorit threw at her when they were at Taco Tuesday. And, we saw that sit down between Garcelle and Dorit, and Garcelle had said that, she feels like Dorit has unconscious Karen behavior, which is very different, by the way. This always really bothers me sometimes. Like, when you say your behavior is like asshole behavior, that is different than me calling you an asshole. Your behavior in this moment is like an asshole, but that doesn't mean you are an asshole in totality. So I think that's where I feel like Dorit kind of mixed it up a little bit. Like, I get the characterization that she had an issue with. Like, she doesn't even want to be anywhere near that term or be painted as someone who could be potentially looking like a racist. Because I don't think that Garcelle thinks any of these women are racist. Because if she did, I don't think she'd be on a show with them. I don't. I think there's a difference between someone who's racist versus someone who has like an unconscious bias that they don't even realize because of their environment, how they lived, how they grew up, etc., how they experienced the world and what they chose to look at versus what they chose to look away from. And I think Dorit is one of those people that she didn't have to worry about any of that, frankly. Like outside of her own experience, she didn't seem to really understand for a while why that would be triggering to Garcelle. And I think Garcelle's driving a point here to say, like, look, these conversations are important to have. This is something that's important to me because it impacts me, it triggers me. And yes, I read your comments, guys. I know everyone's trigger is their own responsibility. However, that doesn't mean that the other person has no responsibility if you are the one that is triggering them. Now, I do agree if the person doesn't know that that's triggering to you and you just react, then yeah, that's a bit of an unfair situation. But if someone comes to you and says, "This is triggering for me," then you need to hear that and just adjust. It's not that big of a deal. You're not changing your whole life because one person feels triggered by something. And it's not every 2 seconds that Garcelle is screaming the triggered card. It just happens when it is clear. Like, I can see that that was a microaggression. That word being used out of context when she wasn't being attacked is a bit much. And that would trigger her because that's something that's thrown at Black women all the time. Angry, you attacked me, aggressive, like all those things. So why shouldn't she be able to communicate that? I don't like all the comments where like Garcelle needs to shut up with this and move on and stop trying to like paint everyone as racist because she's not. I don't feel that way. I don't see it that way. I think she's an adult who's having adult conversations about real shit. And she's allowed to have a problem with whatever she wants, frankly, because all of these women nitpick on the smallest things to make problems out of. She's not even making a huge spectacle about it. She's having an open dialogue and she's being very respectful about it. So I do appreciate that she stands on her 2 feet when it comes to this because it is an important thing and it is relevant. Now, if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Then maybe there's something there that you should look at if you're that upset that someone is triggered by something that is clear to most people in the moment. But nonetheless, Dorit then shares her experience growing up as, her parents from Israel. She's Jewish. They had a lot of backlash, and she was, treated poorly and made fun of and kind of outcast for being different. And this moment was like a learning moment for Garcelle too, because I think she had not really had enough one-on-one time outside of a superficial situation to get to know more about Dorit. And actually, I wish Dorit would share more about her culture on the show rather than float around on, rented tile floors and dressed in head to toe like labels all the time and putting out this image that I don't necessarily feel is authentic. I feel like, we're slowly losing that weird accent that she had. So maybe this is breaking down the barriers for her. I hope that we get some more real Dorit because this is the stuff that I think would pull Garcelle and Dorit closer together. Clearly, it was enough for them to be able to move past it for now because, we've been here before with these two. They go back and forth. But I think in this moment, Dorit learned, or I hope she learned, that, you've got to learn and grow and look outside of yourself. Can't always be stuck within your own bubble and be shocked that you may say something that might offend or trigger someone. Because again, yes, our triggers are our problem, just like everyone's feelings is their problem. So it's the same way. Like if someone says something if I were to make a comment that bothered someone, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Now, isn't that cold? So if I responded like that to every comment that was like, wow, why did you, I don't like the way you said that, or I don't like the way you're painting that picture. Well, that's your problem. That's not mine. Well, that's a pretty asshole thing to do, right? I obviously care. Is it my problem that you feel that way? No, it's not. But if I care, if I have empathy, I'm going to acknowledge that and think twice in the way that I say something, not completely change my opinion or how I do it, but maybe I say it in a way that's not so jarring, or maybe I don't mention it as often. I don't know, but you at least try to see it from the other side. Because if you're not doing that, then what are you doing? You're not growing as a human being. And the whole point here on this earth is for all of us to learn, grow, and be a better human, right? So I'm glad to see that they were able to mend those fences and put it past them, because I think, I I don't always like Dorit, but I think that Dorit has a good heart at the end of the day. I don't find her to be a vicious human being. Um, and no one's perfect, right? Everyone has their thing. But I think with her, I think I see Garcelle and Dorit, they could also be really good friends. I don't think anyone thought that Sutton and Garcelle were going to be best friends when they first joined the show together, but here they are. And, can't judge a book by its cover, but you also have to be able to read the book and understand the context behind the human, because then that's what helps you build empathy. Um, okay, so then from there, Sutton has her friends coming for dinner. They're doing paella night, so they have to quickly leave, but the ladies want to go shopping, okay? They really want to squeeze in some shopping, even though Sutton's got them on a very tight schedule. She is adamant that they need to get back to the house because she doesn't want to be late and she doesn't want things to run behind. However, the ladies go and shop for a little bit nonetheless. And, I have to say, I'm with Kyle. If you said you have 5 minutes to go into that store and shop, baby, I'm going in there and I know what I'm doing. I don't need to sit there and putz around. My eyes will scan everything very fast once, and then second loop, I'm grabbing things. Third loop, I'm at the register. Fourth loop, I'm walking out and we're skipping onto the Sprinter van. Bada bing, bada boom, bada done. Like easy breezy. Like I don't have a problem shopping fast because I do. I think Dorit said this too. Like I have a laser eye for things. I know what I'm looking for. It's easy. I know not everyone's like that, but it was nice to see them shopping a little bit. I thought it was really hilarious when Garcelle was trying to buy her jewelry and the store did not accept cash. So they only took Amex. And so here comes Erika. She's like, I got it, babe. I got it. I just loved Erika in this moment because she's just so much lighter. She's funny as shit. She's funny. Like, wow. Like I was like gagging the entire episode, especially towards the end when she was real lit at the dinner, but then she knew everything. She could conversate with everyone at that table about anything and everything. That, my friends, that's that's an interesting person to bring to your like I would love to hang out with Erika now. Like I actually want to go have like a fun night out with her because I feel like she's been around so many people and things and seen so much that she probably has absorbed so much. And she even says that she loves asking questions and learning and knowing stuff. And I'm similar to that. I love to dig in. I want to know as much as I can because I find it to be for interesting conversation. You never know who you're going to be sitting across the dinner table from, and you never know when the things you've learned will come into great conversation. So that played out for her at the dinner later on in the evening. But it was funny that she was swinging in to purchase the necklace for Garcelle, and obviously Garcelle was going to pay her back. But it was just funny because it was like, Erika's like Garcelle's sugar mama now. And I'm glad that these two are getting on better too, because I think that now that all that stuff has been lifted from Erika, it is allowing for space for Garcelle and Erika to get to know each other in a different way. And just have fun rather than it feel like everyone's grilling her all the time or having an issue with the way that she's behaving around all the things that have transpired for her. But so the ladies then head back to the house that they rented for their stay and to also have the dinner. And Crystal's back from the hospital, and thankfully she's doing better. She's on medication, but it did scare the living shit out of her. And let me be clear, I am not saying that there wouldn't be great healthcare in Spain. That's not the issue. It's just you're in a different country altogether and you're out of your element. And then something like that happens and you're scared shitless. You don't know the language. You don't know what it's going to be like. So, yeah, I would be panicking. So thank God there was, she wasn't by herself or whatever, because then it would have been probably worse. But like the ladies did rally for her. And I loved that moment where they were all sitting on the bed. They were just consoling her. And even the moment with her and Annemarie, I thought was nice because it shows that at the very least, they all can have like an issue. They can fight and scream and yell at each other. But the minute something serious like that happens, they drop that shit and they go and they show care and empathy. And that is what the show is really about. It's about bonding women who are friends who, yes, they have conflict, but then they resolve it and then they prioritize their conflicts based on what's actually happening. That's why I personally love these shows, because it's just that part of it for me is real. Like you could be in a blowout fight with someone that you care about, but the minute something like an emergency happens, you drop that shit and you go. If you care about the person, which I do believe that these women care for each other at the very least, because they're on the same show and they're going through the same stuff. They're all being thrown out there to be talked about. Hello, that's what I'm doing right now. But, I think Crystal also learned that, it may be one thing that Annemarie may have lied or embellished on what she did in the medical field when she first met Crystal. We don't really know because that happened off camera. But, I still think that there was a part of this that Annemarie was utilizing to make herself look like she took the high road here or something. Like, I can't explain it really. It didn't feel authentic. Felt like she was almost like, see, you talked all that smack about me, girl, and here I am. I was here for you. I was going to go to the hospital with you when your veins were popping out. And, and I just, not saying she wouldn't have gone, but she didn't go and she didn't really do anything leading up to the ambulance bringing her. So I'm sure Crystal's just glad to be out of that health scare and to move on. So she'll probably drop whatever it was that was going on with Annemarie, at least right now. But who knows? I don't even know how many more episodes we have left. But I know we only have a few more because they shot the reunion last week. And typically once they shoot the reunion, we have at minimum 4 more episodes before the finale. So we will see. We are getting to the tail end though. And I can't believe how fast it's gone. Sometimes I feel like Beverly Hills feels like it runs longer. This season, it feels like it just started or something, and it's just now like it's kind of coming to an end. I don't know if it's because it's been moving in such a like neutral kind of space, but the ratings are still kicking. The ratings are there. People are still watching, even without Rinna. Not saying that Rinna is not needed on the show. I think that Rinna maybe needs another season off, and then I think she should come back. I think this break for Rinna has been good because I think she's been able to then independently solidify herself as, a celebrity in her own right without the strings of this show. And let's be clear, Lisa Rinna's always been working. She's always been a hustler, baby. She's always from day one. But I think at some point the show got to her and she started to live it in reality. And I think that was toxic for her. And we obviously saw that. But I don't not want Rinna to come back to the show. I think we all can agree that she would be welcomed back. But I do think the break is great. So maybe it's because of that. Maybe it's because it's not been like too much going on. Also, there's a theme around issues in your marriage because you see that Dorit's having some issues with PK and they're subtly making that clear. But then we see that Kyle's also having issues with Mo. And I think I said this yesterday on my podcast that, or no, I made or maybe I did. I think this whole like Morgan Wade situation from Kyle's angle was used as a distraction so that the ladies would focus more on that rather than what's really going on in Kyle and Mo's marriage. Because I don't think that Kyle would ever come out on the show and say what really I mean, I'm not saying that like her losing her friend and seeing Mo put his business before her and her feelings and being there to emotionally support her when she needed him wasn't enough to say like I need space from you, like I can't do this. I'm not happy. But on the flip side, it worked because we didn't really get a lot of anything. The women haven't really grilled Kyle. It's confusing to me because Kyle's in interviews now saying like, Garcelle and Sutton came for her marriage. No, they asked a question. They asked a question based on what was in the media, what the speculation was. That's what these shows are for. Kyle's done it. She had no problem jumping into the questions. When it was Erika, they all grilled her for a whole season. Kyle was asked at her dinner party, maybe one other time, and she's literally like gone off the hinges, like, how dare you? And it's like, are you joking, Kyle? You've not been grilled whatsoever, in my opinion. A couple questions is not being grilled. And you are on a reality show. You started this reality show, my dear. So you know what this is about. So you know that if you're having problems in your marriage, it's more than likely going to come up on the show if you're still filming, which you are. So you should know. Anyways, so yeah, it was nice to see Crystal back. I'm glad she wasn't in too much of a situation where she would have had to sit it out completely or have to go back home early. But the ladies get ready for dinner because Sutton has her very good friends coming over to join them for paella, and Chef Storm is going to be there. But we learn that Chef Storm learned all of his culinary skills from his dad, who's also cooking at this dinner. And Garcelle is like, initially, Garcelle was all about Storm, but then she saw his dad and she was like, actually, I can be Storm's stepmother and then I'll just go with the dad because that's my vibe. And I just loved it because again, like we're seeing this like really relaxed Garcelle. She is having a good time. She is just in the moment. She's flirting. She's just enjoying herself. And I love that. I love seeing the women having a good time when they're on these trips because that's the point of them. Obviously, it's for the drama as well, but like it's nice to see them being able to laugh and have fun and just joke around because we love to see that too, or I do at least. It can't be all drama all the time. Gosh, that would be so toxic, right? So it's just hilarious to me because, and Dorit pointed this out too in her interview. When Erika starts showering Sutton with compliments, she is lit. Like she is feeling good because she's getting into that like that moment where Storm comes to tell the ladies that dinner's ready and she's like, Storm. And even Sutton, when she's like showering her with compliments, Sutton's looking over at her like, oh God, here we go. Because I think Sutton knows too, like when she's been drinking like that and she starts complimenting her, that it's like it could go one of two ways. I still think that these two are the best friends that they didn't even realize that they had. Like I think there's gonna be I foresee them becoming a lot closer. There's just something there. I think there was always something there, but unfortunately the whole legal situation kind of took precedent, and so Sutton kind of pulled back off of that. Uh, but now I'm like, oh, I think that these two could really get on. Hilarious. And at the dinner, Erika was blowing my mind. She was talking about all the things that she knew everything everyone was talking about. I mean, she was even blowing the other women away. They were all looking at her like, what? Who are you? Who is this Erika? Like, this is the product of someone who was married to a very wealthy man who had a lot of power and sat at a lot of important dinner tables. And she more than likely was at most of them. And so she had to hear a lot of conversation about a various amount of topics. And so she is inquisitive. And so she asks questions. And I think that that's just, that's a cancer thing too. Cancers are very good at absorbing information and then being able to build it into conversation, which is good for them too, because it kind of puts them in this space where they're able to feel and sound intelligent and like they know what's up without always displaying that all the time, like being snooty or entitled. But in the moment, if it comes up, more than likely they have an opinion about it or they know what you're talking about. And I loved that they showed that in the midst of her being drunk, because I think it's, call what you want. Erika, she's turning a page for a lot of people this season. Just in her own behavior, she's very much more relaxed. And so I feel like she can be maybe this is who she really is and she can lean into it more. And that feels good. She doesn't always have to feel like she's got to be on eggshells because, I'm sure being married to someone like Tom wasn't easy. You're always stiff. You're walking on eggshells. You can't say this, you can't do that. You can't. So now she's literally just able to like lean into her authentic self. And listen, she was having herself a good time. And why not? You're in Spain. If I was in Spain, I would be lit every night too. The music, the weather, the cobblestones, like all of that. That's a vibe. I actually want to go to Spain. I've never been to Spain. I want to go. Definitely want to go now because that does look magnificent. I have to say, like, I love all the architecture. I love all that. Just looks like it smells amazing there. So we obviously know that also Sutton has brought Merce's ashes to Spain to kind of sprinkle them in various places that she thinks would be special. But as she's getting herself ready, I think it starts to set in what all of this is. And then we find out, because she gets very emotional, we find out that I guess in the midst of her moving so many times, she somehow lost some of her dad's ashes. And so I think that the importance of Merce's ashes are also signifying the importance of the healing that she needs to have with her dad and maybe losing those ashes and feeling guilty. And listen, I don't know what it's like to have a parent take their own life. I can't imagine the guilt or the what if that Sutton has talked about. I also couldn't imagine going and spreading someone's ashes, but knowing that I lost my own parents' ashes. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that like I would feel that I would have a panic. I would feel like she felt like horrible and like just everything was just so connected there for her. And it was just maybe emotional for her because I feel like a lot of people just think that she's just some snooty woman who's been rich her entire life, but she wasn't, she just ended up marrying someone that became super successful and wealthy. And yeah, she is an alimony, receiving, she has money now, but like, it's not like she just woke up one day and was given all this money. She was with this man for a very long time. I think Kyle said she knew him when she was 14, but that's interesting. 14. I think they met at 14. I don't think they were dating at 14. But nonetheless, that's where we leave this episode. Next week, it seems that we're still in Spain. I'm thinking this will be the last episode we see with them in Spain, because then I think, if I'm not mistaken, we should be, because I know the cameras picked back up. Remember when Kyle made that statement because People magazine had put out there that her and Mo separated. So I'm sure that after Spain, things will we'll see like a pickup of the camera situation, like an update, fast forward to where we were basically at the beginning of this season airing. But I don't know, you guys. It wasn't the most horrible episode. Like, if I had to rate it out of 10, I would give it a 7.5. And the 7.5 is a stretch because that's only because of Erika. If Erika was not there, I would have probably fallen asleep. I'm going to be honest with you. Because it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't that awful, but it wasn't that exciting either. But I get not every episode's going to hit. It just feels like the whole season's in this transition. So it's just been very interesting watching week to week how they play the episodes out. But, anyways, let me know your thoughts on the latest Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Let me know your thoughts on the Annemarie of it all regarding Crystal. I also want to know your thoughts on Erika. What do we think? Do we love this new Erika? Do we not? I think she's fantastical right now, and I'm loving it. But yeah, don't forget that I will also be recapping Vanderpump Rules season 11 with Besties by Bravo podcast host Caitlin Marshall later on today. So make sure you check that out. And then she will be recapping Real Housewives of Miami with me tomorrow. So look forward to checking that episode out because Miami is, these ladies are on fire. Okay. They are throwing me for a loop, but I love them. So until the next episode, guys, I hope you all stay safe. Have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Bye.